Hi. You hear me say all the time that I'm going down to my reloading bench to work down in the basement. So I thought you might be ever so slightly interested to see what it is that I do down here all the time. So this is going to be one of the things that I do. I use a full brass 2 3/4 inch shotgun 12 gauge shotgun shell in my single shot break open shotgun, and I buy these. They are from a company called Magtech. They're a couple of other companies you can get them from, but Magtech is the least expensive. These are manufactured to a tolerance and design to use what's called a large pistol primer. Large pistol primers are very expensive and sometimes they're hard to get. However, 209 shotgun shell primers are less than a third of the cost of the large pistol primer, and they're readily available even at places like Walmart. And I don't shop at Walmart, haven't for years, but you can get them. I tend to get all of my stuff from online from a black powder company that specializes in things for black powder, and I actually load these with black powder and BB shot. BB shot. This is steel BB shot, and it's actually very accurate. There's no lead in it. It's all steel. It'll take out pretty much any small game or nearby birds. I haven't actually tried it like on dove in flight or something like that, but if you can get near enough, you'd probably take a bird. But squirrels, rabbits, any kind of small game like that, the BB shot is going to run perfectly. But anyway, there are lots of videos out there. There's Dave Canterbury and a lot of guys out there that show how to reload these manually. Some of them use a Lee, an old style Lee reloading kit, like this guy. He was originally $8.87. It's probably back in the 70s. But anyway, it's a kit, and it has punches and scoops and that kind of thing. But for those of us that don't necessarily want to spend that, I found that on eBay and managed to get it. It was a no reserve sale, and managed to get in on it and got it fairly cheap. But those tend to go for $150 or $160 each. I got mine a whole lot cheaper than that. But you can assemble your own small kit. And again, there's a lot of videos out there on different kinds of kits and different kinds of tools that you can use. This is an idea that I got from Dave Canterbury. It's actually the shaft off of a Craftsman screwdriver. The large end of it is just exactly right to drop in and go over your primer for reseating primers. The other end kind of gets mashed up, so you're never going to be able to use that again. But beautiful part of this is it actually gives me the screwdriver for taking my shotgun apart, because mine, instead of having the little latch at the front, you actually have to take a screw out to drop the forearm off. The other end of that same piece, I filed down, or ground down actually, on my grinder, down to a point that will reach in and drop primer out. I'll show you how that works in a couple of minutes. I also took a short socket extension. Socket fits perfectly over the primer pocket. Wrapped a little electrical tape around it so that dude is self-centering for reseating the primer. And of course, just like with this tool, you need a way to remove a primer. This used to be an Allen head that I ground down to a point. Again, wrapped it with electrical tape, self-centering. It is pretty much guaranteed to always hit the center of your primer for removing the old primers. This, this is a 7/8 socket. And in the bottom of it is a washer that's just a hair too big. I ground him down until I was able to actually drive him down in there. That is for primer removal and for assembling your shell. Drop it in there, you don't have to worry about knocking it over. Tip that down just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing down here. You set your primer in there for removing the primer. This is actually a pin, a steel pin, off of my bench that actually sits in the top of there, and that's used for repriming. But again, I'm kind of getting away from where I want to go with this video. The point of this video is that everybody shows how to reload these. There's a lot of guys out there using these with 201 shotgun primers. Nobody except Dave Canterbury shows resizing them. And I tried it Dave's way. I ended up with too big of a hole. Instead, because Dave just grabs a hold of it, sticks his drill bit in there, kind of wiggles it around, and boom, it's done. Well, I don't know how old Dave is, but I'm 64 years old, and I've got arthritis in both hands. So holding on to that shell and trying to wiggle it around is a little unnerving. So what I came up with was this. 3-inch dowel, dropped in and braced in the vise that's built into the end of my table. I put a clamp on it to show how deep a shell can go without actually getting stuck, because there's a tiniest bit of a taper in the bottom of these. If you get that thing stuck on there, they're a bear to get out. So, drop that on there and see how it just fits perfectly. Then for drilling these out, that's where the fun starts. I start off with a 13/64 bit. Line him up, grab a hold, wearing the protective gloves with the rubber grip on them. Squeeze down into it, switch out, and move up to a 7/32 bit. See how it's trying to twist? I'm pressing a little too hard. I need to let him start and just drop him in. And then we finish off here with a 15/64. Now, unless you're getting into some very specialized bits, there's nothing between 15/64 and 1/4 inch. 15/64 is a little bit too small for the primer to actually get into the pocket. 1/4 inch is just a little bit too big. They're going to pop right in. You notice this one I was using as a demonstration. See how big that hole is? Your primer won't stay in there. It's just a tiny bit bigger than the successful one. And I keep these just as a reminder that you can screw this up. So So now I've got my hole down in there, but I need to open it up just a tiny bit. This is where I'm going to kind of ream him out just a little bit. And then comes this big boy. I don't even remember what size this is or if it even says. So let me get the extra eyes on here. And I don't happen to have my caliper handy, but basically what you're looking for is a bit large enough that, and it's got to be a steel cutting bit, big enough that you have this point and shoulder. Put her down in there, and I'm going to put that in very slowly, stepping it in until the shoulder of that bit is right at the edge. So now we need to test this, make sure everything is fitting properly. So again, let me drop the camera down a little bit. You can see what I'm doing here. Here's my steel block. I keep a spent primer just for testing. Take my shell, set it over it. It mostly crunched in. So then I'm going to take my re-priming tool. Make sure it's set. You want to verify that it is not proud of the back of your shell, or it's not going to go in. It's not going to go into your shotgun properly. It'll try to jam up on you. So then we grab our socket and our de-priming tool. Pop that primer out, and just like that, we have the shell ready for a 209 primer. So that's how I do that part of it, and we're not going to get into the whole mess of actually loading these out. And I wouldn't give you load data or anything like that anyway. And I just noticed one of these. I'm going to brush that off a little bit. Make sure that you brush these off just a little bit. Make sure you don't have any brass spurs. But anyway, that's it. That is one of the things that I've been spending a lot of time on down here in the basement. When I say I'm coming down to the basement to go to the loading bench, that's one of the things I'm doing is prepping these shells. I've got looks like I've got 10 more here to do, and I've got another box of 25 to do, and then I'll start loading them. And I'll end up, by the time I get done, I've got a box of 25 that's already done. I'll end up with 75 of these bad boys that can, from my understanding, be reloaded dozens and dozens of times until the brass starts to wear out. So there's where the big savings comes in. They're not super cheap. They're not, but again, the Magtechs aren't very expensive. These bits, I already had them. You can. I love my Ryobi with this little DeWalt quick change. I mean, that is just, that makes life so much easier. All right, well, that's that, and I'll get this shared out to you, and hope you enjoyed it. And again, I'll when I start loading some of these up, I'll probably shoot another video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.